I was actually oblivious.
It was
When he
pretty
told me
rough.
about it, I mean, it wasn't surprising because given,
I remember
what
things
came
like
after,
being specific, just a memory that I remembered. I remembered one time we were putting up Christmas things around, and I think they called it paper mache or something like that, and the paper came down and sliced me right on the eyeball. And I didn't even know what was going on. I thought that I was just wondering why my eye kept hurting really bad. And I was young. I don't know if I was
I don't even
probably
remember that.
5, 6, 7 years old. I was really young, so imagine how old you were. But I mean, I didn't know what it was. So my mom, lucky for us, we had Medicaid. So she took me to the doctor, and they found out that I did have a slice right on my eye, and I had to use some kind of liquid stitches.
So it was actually on your pupil?
Oh man, it was on there somewhere, on the eyeball somewhere. But believe me, I was going around, I just kept rubbing my eye all the time. Mama didn't know what was going on. But it was pretty rough though. I mean, I just remember all those times of how the struggle was. And then Mom ended up meeting a guy that was actually the neighbor. And her and him got real tight and everything. And then he kind of pulled us up out of that. And then we went, and I remember us getting a place together, Mom getting a place with him. And so, things got a little bit better for a little bit. But then it turns out that he was like some of the other people that Mom dealt with. So, we pretty much learned real quick that didn't work out well. So, I think we ended up back with grandmother, but I just remember
That's
things.
generally how it went, right?
Yeah, grandma was pretty much
she was always there to pick us up, man, when things got too rough.
She was definitely our savior at one point. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Because I tell you, man, there's plenty of stories that we can give y'all about. And you'll probably hear a couple within this video, but yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stories that we can give you as to a testament of how rough it was for us coming up.
And boy, when you live with grandma, if you didn't go to church, shoot, boy, I remember all kinds of times.
She wasn't playing that.
Man.
And not only that, but the preacher would come in and dress us. There was times where I didn't want to go. The preacher would come in and actually put clothes
I remember
on.
him pulling us out from under the swimming pool. Us hiding under the swimming pool, barefooted. And I think it was you that he picked up, pulled you out from under he pulled you out from under the swimming pool.
Church the whole day barefooted.
And he grabbed you up, put you on that church bus, boy, we was down the road.
We didn't have shoes. We didn't have stuff like that.
Hey, let me ask you this, William. What happened when grandma would when grandma would get mad because we didn't go to church? How would she act and what would she say?
Hey man, listen, dead serious. My grandmother was very, very passionate about her religion, about the Christian faith. And if we buck,
Which is wonderful, by the way.
if we buck slightly as far as going to church, she would get so mad that she would scream, and she would voice her distaste.
She wouldn't swear or anything. She wasn't like that.
She'd be like, hey! and I mean, I'm talking about when she did it.
You didn't have enough enthusiasm. She would say, hey! When y'all staying in my house without going to church.
She sounded just like
Well,
that.
I mean, it used to, man, I'm going to tell you. Boy.
And listen, when she did that though, that's when you knew.
You knew you better go ahead and get on up.
Because even if you
Get dressed or whatever you're going to do.
First of all, it's your grandmother. And you tend to be a little bit more sympathetic to her feelings as opposed to anyone else. So you knew that if you didn't, the whole day she's going to be heartbroken. And I mean, your conscience.
You already knew. And there were times we were still, we'd lay around and we still wouldn't go. But I mean, grandma just had this way, boy. When she got to that point, though, boy, that was it.
And by the way, our way of making up for the days that we didn't go was that we would make her a sandwich or something. So when she came in, we'd have her chair pulled out at the kitchen table. It was our way of kind of like, yeah. So.
But things was tough. I mean, the good thing about when we went and lived with grandma was, I mean, you always knew when she was in a good mood because she'd come home and all of a sudden when she'd get in the door, I'm going to tell you, her dogs was her life. And we'd have at least 2 or 3 dogs that'd be running around the house, little dogs. And grandma would open the door. As soon as she'd open that door, the dogs would be going crazy. She'll go, whoa, doo-dah. And she'd just start running. The dogs would start running around the house. They'll do full circles around the house, back and forth. Man, boy, and grandma be sitting there hitting her laps and going like this to the dogs, man. Oh my God.
Not lying.
Boy, I swear if I could take it back.
Those moments, man, till this day we crack up about it, but even then it made us laugh, hysterical. We had friends, and
no matter how poor we were,
our friends,
we still tried to make the best of it. I'm not kidding.
Our friends were predominantly black and Hispanic growing up, and their upbringing was slightly different than ours. So when they would see my grandmother doing stuff like that,
she didn't understand. They didn't understand.
Yeah, it was
maybe it was the cultural differences or something like that. I'm not sure.
Weird for them. But eventually they seen our humor and all of that, and how you know it was funny to us. So eventually, and all of our
And then we all adapted to each
right,
other.
and our
it
friends
just worked
loved
out
our
great.
grandmother tremendously.
Oh, man.
And by the way, just because this whole aura is based around the struggle of our upbringing.
Mhm.
Just to throw it out there, man, our friends to this day we see them in the past, and we carry on small talk, but. And I'm not just saying this to belittle their or to minimize their struggle, but we actually were way far more worse off.
Oh, they would probably say, they would tell you that now. I've even heard some of them. They would say
we were worse
that
off.
we were more poor than
Now-
they
now,
were.
mind
I
you,
mean,
now-
but
now-
not trying to compete or anything
No,
like that.
but it's trying. It kind of like breaks that
stigma where people
stigma
think that
think that
you know,
because you're of a lighter shade of color or pigment, you're somehow better off, or you're somehow more privileged than other people, and that's not the case.
we never knew what white privilege was by
None of
far.
that.
And maybe it does go on somewhere, I'm not sure,
yeah.
but I know that it definitely didn't
I mean,
apply to
you know,
us.
You know, if we're going to say that, man, it also goes on with any shade of a person, any pigment. I mean, you look at athletes, for instance. These people are far well off, and you know, who knows? They probably had a struggle at first.
A lot did,
But,
believe me.
But I mean, today, you know, it's like you know, you got all these millions and stuff, man. So you know, I personally, I feel
Well,
like
see, they made the best of their situation. And then the thing is, you think about what we went through and how we could have been beat down and could have been negative our whole life and just whined about everything. But like I said, we can find humor in just about everything. I remember times, no kidding, getting back to grandma. I know you remember when, I don't know if you were there that day, but back when we were younger and we got around our teens, I remember us, you know, we dip and dabble in marijuana a little bit. So I remember one.
he did.
But I remember when a friend of mine, he and I came home one day to my grandmother's house, and I remember Grandma used to always talk about, you know, the cataracts and stuff she had on her eye and stuff. And
Come
what she
on,
would
man.
do-
Hold up, man. Are you
I
gonna tell this
gotta
story?
tell them about it, man. I gotta tell them about it. And I mean, she had cataracts, and she would talk about it all the time. I mean, you know, she would always say, "And see, little Paul, I can't see out of this eye," you know. And she'd always do an example or something like that. So one day, my friend, you know, he had heard it before too, so he kind of knew what was going on. So he decides, and he looked at me and he said, "Paul, look, you know, I'm just joking, man, but just follow me on this one." I said, "Man, what are you about to do, man?" And take him out, we were already raiding the refrigerator and everything. Man, I look over and he said, "Watch this, man." And Grandma put her hand up, and Grandma would always go like this. "See, if I hold my hand up over my eye, I can't see out of this eye right here." Soon as she put her hand up over that eye, my friend put his middle finger right there to the front of her eye like that. Man, it had us dying. And I tell you,
Listen, I know that sounds bad,
man, I know it does, but I'm telling you right now, we laughed so hard, especially being on marijuana. You already know what's going on there.
we had a real
Speaking of
warped
chuckle
sense of
face,
humor.
we were some chuckle faces back then. I'm telling you right now, we were laughing so hard. But boy, if you would have seen, you know, Grandma didn't even see it. She never even knew it happened. She was just wondering, why are y'all laughing so hard? Me and him was just falling over the
That's
floor.
the type
down
of
there.
humor that we had coming on.
Exactly. That's because we didn't let, you know, our circumstances,
we
did not let
right.
that break us down. We did not let that
We
stop
always
us from
find
moving
some
forward.
type of light at the end of the tunnel, man. You know, tell them about the story, man, about when we was in Winston for 2 weeks straight. I don't know.
Oh, I
I don't know
mean-
if you could tell it better than me.
Well, I mean, I can if you want me to. I mean, basically, you know, we lived off of popcorn. We'd slice potatoes while Mom would work and stuff like that. She was just working hard to make ends meet. We didn't have,
I think I was 8.
yeah, something like that. I mean, the thing is, we didn't have nothing. I mean, and so we would like, if we had potatoes, I mean, we would cook popcorn. But the thing that was really crazy was when you push aside, we were baked mustard sandwiches. Our dessert dessert would be syrup sandwiches. Ooh, you know. But the one that would crack me up the most is y'all would always want this, and so I'd do it, or y'all would help me, or
Hey,
whatever.
this was the delicacy.
We would literally put sugar in the pan and make.
his
I would call that caramel. That would be our caramel.
He would
no
literally,
kidding.
he would literally pour sugar in a pan and stir it.
And sometimes
fry it
we put it across the popcorn or something. We did whatever it took to get our bellies full, hopefully.
Right.
Or we would,
We lived off that.
regardless,
we
we
lived
would
off
do
that
stuff
for
like
like
that.
2 weeks straight. And I remember one time, man, and I'm pretty sure it was around that time because we only stayed there at that house. What would you say, maybe 6 months to a year?
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Well,
We
anyways.
started going to school there and everything.
Poor as I don't know what. We finally got up. My mom finally had a few dollars from the job she had, a hard labor job. That's all she had.
Hold on, William. I gotta stop you because I gotta tell him about the car. I gotta tell him about the car.
Oh my God, really?
See,
man?
like I said, we always like to add humor to a bad situation. And this is a prime example of how we struggled. My mama had this car, and they called it a Chevette. It was a little orange Chevette, little hatchback. You know, back in the days, it was probably like an '85 Chevette.
Oh, man.
No, matter of fact, it was older than that.
Yeah,
it was probably
like late 70s.
Yeah, 78. Because I'm forgetting that it was like 91, 92 back then.
90.
Well, 90, okay. And so there you go. It was probably like a 70-something model Chevette. I remember specifically, Mama would have to. We lived on a hill, and I mean a very steep hill.
Steep hill was a dead end.
Well, if y'all think I'm lying, Mama would have to go down to the bottom of the hill and do circles at the bottom of the hill to pick up speed in order to climb that hill. Man, in hindsight,
Hold on.
laugh so
But see,
hard.
it wasn't just there. That would happen to us even if we was in the city.
Anywhere.
If we was in a city and we was on a steep hill, we would have to gain.
Yeah, she would have to get up speed just to make it up
And,
the
and by
hill.
the way, you know, I don't want you to get the impression that this place that we lived at, because I mentioned a cul-de-sac, that this was some nice environment. No, the house right across from us that we moved into, a guy just murdered his wife and his baby.
Oh, it was
and
pretty
tried to bury
bad.
him under
It was
the
pretty
dog
bad.
house. They still had the yellow tape up around the house when we moved in there, so it was a real rough neighborhood.
But basically, the moral of the story is, you know, we were just letting everyone know that, you know, we did come up rough.
We did.
But we are trying to make the best of it, and we are continuing to. And this is just the next chapter in our life.
If I can add to that whole Winston story, because again, we wasn't there alone. We got up some money, and my mom wanted me and my brother and our little cousin Israel to go to the store to get some bread and a few other things, minor things. Bread was, man, that was a good day. But
Oh, you can talk about that.
we had to cross the catwalk. And I'm gonna keep it brief.
Yeah.
But we had to cross a catwalk to go across the highway to get to the store. And on the other side of the catwalk was the projects, the old projects at the time in the city that we stayed in. And these two guys were sitting on a little creek, embankment. And we noticed them when we passed them on our way back. They felt the need to mention to us that they had a Sega Genesis at their home across the fence in the projects. And, you know, we pulled us out on what we wanted to play the Sega.
Well, they just started trying to befriend us.
Lure us.
At least we thought they were.
They ended up luring us.
And they basically lured us over.
And
you know,
and these were much
one thing
older
led to
people.
another.
Much older people. They beat us. They beat us like they were like grown men basically. They beat us like grown men. I was only 8 at the time. They even put their Rottweiler on. It was a mutt Rottweiler, but it was still a big dog nonetheless. Took a chunk out my back. But you would think that moments like that, being jumped at 8 years old and just being in such chaotic times, that it would harden our hearts and make us like really vicious individuals. Don't get me wrong. We've done some things coming up over the years that we're not proud of. But overall, we try to be good people in general and understand people individually and understand the plight of men.
And bottom line, we've, like I said, we've overcame, and we are currently, you know, doing what we have to do to, you know, make it these days, and we're doing much better, and we're living a much better life, and that's kind of what we wanted to bring to y'all today. And we got so many more stories to come, and we maybe some of the other stories are going to be a little bit more humor, or maybe not. I mean, we're just basically kind of letting y'all get to know us, and we assure you that things are going to be a lot better. We're going to take things outdoors sometimes, and we're going to really kind of keep this thing moving and see how it goes.
Right.
And we just we would love to have your support. We would love to interact with you, and, you know, just leave your comments below. We would really like to hear from you. Like to hear some of your stories, as a matter of fact, you know.
Definitely.
So, you know, that's basically where we're at now, and we'd like to say thanks for giving us your time, and hey, keep checking back with us.
Definitely check with us. Don't forget to hit the if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so anytime we go
Definitely
live,
like
you
us.
can get that.
Please
Definitely
like
hit the
us.
like button, because you know that right there.
We like you.
But yeah, definitely do that. If you want to support us in our future endeavors, is, you know, and I mentioned it briefly, that we want to go out and we want to film on locations at certain points of our past, the stories that we would like to reveal to y'all. If y'all want to support,
And we definitely want to give y'all better scenes, better quality, everything.
So if you want to support us on that level,
there you go.
there'll be a PayPal. My PayPal link will be in the description, just in case if you feel compelled to want to help towards that, because you know we do have our own lives and our own things that we have to put money towards that ensures the betterment
But
of our
regardless,
kids and stuff. So
thank you for your time,
Definitely.
and hey, thank you very much, and let's Let's make it happen some more, man.
And we will be in touch.
Take care.
Peace.